Hello again. In this lecture, we will be discussing how to set priorities for you and your team so that you can ensure that you're working on the most valuable projects. A key part of project management is for you to take the time to look into the future. Using the long-term perspective we discussed at the beginning of the course, project forward 5 years and think about where you want your company and team to be. Create a mental picture of what that looks like, and then think about the steps that you would have to take starting today to make it a reality. Think about where the company is going and where you'd like your team to be so that your future focus is on your goals rather than focusing on the past. Focus on opportunities rather than problems. Think about solutions and what specific actions you could take rather than things that have gone wrong and who is to blame. Keep asking, where do we go from here? In many companies, 80% of the time of senior people is spent on the problems of yesterday rather than on the opportunities of tomorrow. Keep thinking of ways that you can change the things that you are doing today so that your future focus is consistent with what you desire. In setting priorities, remember that the first 20% of any task usually accounts for 80% of the value of that task. Once you begin working on that task, the first 20% of the time that you spend planning and organizing the resources necessary to achieve the task usually accounts for 80% of your success. In setting priorities, always focus on the first 20% of the task. Get on with it and get it done. The next 80% will tend to flow smoothly once the first 20% is complete. For example, if you're in sales, getting the initial appointment where you meet face-to-face with the decision maker is the first 20% of the transaction, but it accounts for 80% of the value of the sales process. The presentation, the closing of the sale, the follow-up, the delivery of the product and service, and so on represent the second 80% that only account for 20% of the value. While setting priorities for your team, never give in to the temptation to clear up small things first. Don't start at the bottom of your list and work up to the important tasks at the top. Don't allow your team to get bogged down in low-priority activities. Don't major in minors. The natural tendency of human nature is to follow the law of least resistance. In project management and work, this means that we have a natural tendency to start on small tasks, thinking that as soon as we get warmed up, we will launch into our big tasks and increase productivity. Here's what I have found, is when you start in on little tasks, they begin to multiply, like rabbits in the springtime. When you begin clearing up your small tasks, you seem to attract more and more small tasks to work on, which, in the end, does not increase productivity. The longer and harder you work, the more small tasks seem to arise. By the end of the day, you'll be exhausted and you won't have accomplished anything of value. Start with your most important work first. Here are 4 questions to ask yourself when setting priorities for your team. Number 1, what are my team's highest value activities? Remember, there are only 3 things that you do that account for most of the value of your work. Which of your activities contribute the greatest value to your company? What are your big 3? Number 2, what are our key result areas? What are the specific results that your team has to achieve in order to grow the company in an excellent fashion? Of all those key result areas, which are most important? Number 3, what can we do that, if done well, will make a real difference? What is the one thing that your team can do and, if done well, will make a significant contribution to the business? Doing this task, doing it well, and doing it promptly can have a major impact on your company's future. Number 4, what is the most valuable use of my team's time right now? This is the key question in project management. Every time planning and management skill is oriented around helping you determine the correct answer to this question at every moment of the day. What is the most valuable use of your team's time right now. Once you've asked yourself these questions and have a list, use that to prioritize the activities that your team is working on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. When you show them the impact that doing these tasks will have on the company and their jobs, they'll likely be even more excited to help you achieve those goals.